We make decisions for ourselves every day. What kind of people do I want to hang out with? What do I feel like eating? How am I going to spend my time? And who are the people that I'm going to trust enough to let get close to me? We also help residents to make decisions every day. As healthcare workers, we act as conduits for communication in the decision-making process between the resident, our care team, and their family. Being knowledgeable about capacity and consent is how we protect residents' autonomy in everyday decision-making. This is important because we need to know who's making the decisions in a resident's life and why. We have a duty to ensure that a resident's right to have opinions, to make choices, and to take actions based on personal goals and values is respected. That's how we as professionals live up to our legal and ethical responsibilities to help residents participate in everyday decisions. The Long-Term Care Act, the Healthcare Consent Act, and the Substitute Decisions Act work together to inform and protect people in Ontario. Let's take a quick look at some of the key concepts.
Capacity is assessing the person's ability to understand and appreciate the consequences of their choices. And consent is about obtaining consent or agreement from either the capable person or the incapable person's substitute decision makers. It's all about the right discussions with the right people at the right time. At the start of any conversation, assess the person's capacity or ability to have that discussion. If the person can communicate choices, understand relevant information, appreciate the situation and its consequences, and can manipulate the information rationally, then proceed with the conversation. If the person is incapable, then the person's substitute decision maker will be the responsible person for decision making instead. The Ontario legislation we've talked about outlines the hierarchy of people who can be substitute decision makers. Healthcare workers are most familiar with the term power of attorney. A power of attorney is a legal document made by a capable person. If the person becomes incapable to make healthcare decisions or property decisions before completing a power of attorney document, the healthcare provider can turn to the Substitute Decision Makers Act to determine who legally has the right to make decisions on behalf of the incapable person. For example, if Ms. Walks-a-Lot becomes incapable before completing power of attorney documents, and there's no court-appointed guardian, and there's no power of attorney for care, and there's no representative appointed by the Consent and Capacity Board, then her spouse would be next in line to be her substitute decision maker. If her spouse is deceased, incapable, or unwilling, then the next in line would be Mrs. Walks-a-Lot's children, who all would be considered equal-ranking substitute decision makers. Care team members should not think that people lack decision-making capacity just because they make a decision that seems bad. Determining decision-making capacity involves thinking about the way the person makes a decision, not whether the final decision is correct or wise. Delirium is a common cause of temporary incapacity. Older adults' abilities to make decisions can change over time or from moment to moment, especially with changing medical or mental health disorders. Delayed decision-making and cognitive assessments until the delirium is resolved. Capacity and consent is so much more than just legal terms. They are also an important foundation for human rights, choice, and freedoms.